Taurus, welcome to your mid-March 2020 tarot reading update. It's funny. It's Raina here. It's funny because I was intending on doing this for Virgo, and then for some reason Taurus was the first sign that came into my mind, so I'm going to go with what came into my mind. Wow, you got a really powerful set of cards here, Taurus. How cool is this? And I wonder if you're actually feeling this way. So, you know, I'm recording this on the full moon in Virgo. And for Taurus, Virgo is your fifth house. And the fifth house is the house of creativity. It's the house of the business that you own. That's part of that creativity, but it's a house of love as well, and even conceiving children and things like that. Actually, the Page of Cups can be about a child. So this is a card associated with Pisces. And it's interesting. So we are currently in Pisces, and it's a harmonious angle, a sextile to Taurus. And what's really interesting is that it happens to be for Taurus the 11th house of hopes and wishes. And so definitely during this season of this activity in the 11th house, do spend some time thinking about some of your hopes and wishes, because we have here the Magician, which is about manifesting those things. And this is in the past position, so perhaps some Taurus people learn the lesson of their own self-empowerment, meaning that certain things may have become known to you that are related to you understanding that you really determine the path that you are undertaking. It's not about things happening to you. And I feel like some of you have come to that conclusion. And it may have been, in some cases, because the Page of Cups can be somebody who is gullible, naive to another person's words or actions. And this becomes painfully obvious when the person feels like they have been taken for a ride by somebody. And this is something that can feel disillusioning, because if you trusted somebody and they betrayed that trust, you may feel like you did something wrong, when in fact you did nothing wrong except to trust a person who didn't deserve to be trusted. But even in that particular situation, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Trusting others is not wrong, but not seeing warning signs can be detrimental. And yet, it led you to understand that you hold the power. And that's what the Magician, to me, represents ultimately. And that you also can do things for yourself. You don't have to be dependent. Because to me, the Page is the child can be very dependent. And it's not necessarily physically, if they're an adult, but they have the mentality that they can't do something for themselves. And that has to change. And that is changing for you. And I think also having Uranus in your sign for the next several years is helping you to understand, to break free of some of these chains that have kept you in a rut in your way of perceiving reality. The higher message is the Judgment card. Again, with the Page of Cups, discernment. Not allowing yourself to second guess yourself or to lie to yourself because you want a certain outcome. So, I think a lot of Taurus people are actually quite good at ferreting out con artists when they so choose to. But the problem is that there may be this temptation to look the other way simply because you are so desiring a certain outcome. Like I'm speaking specifically of relationships. I think, now that I think about it, I think like a Taurus person is much more willing to walk from a workplace situation where they feel that they're being cheated financially than they are emotionally, because you may not see that it's that important until you actually look back and you realize how detrimental a certain circumstance was in your life that you tolerated it, and it was something that you felt very demeaned by, and especially if somebody you felt like you were played for a fool or something like that. So judgment is always important, and it has to align with your values, because that's where judgment comes from, and that's where a lack of judgment can come as well. When somebody doesn't realize that something is not good for them emotionally, it'll be hard for them to leave it. So getting those, understanding, what you stand for is so, so important. But I think that this is a very powerful reading. I do believe that perhaps because in March, at the end of March, when the sun goes into Aries, this is going to be your 12th house, so you're kind of in a gestation mode until the latter part of April. And I think this is really cool because you're getting ready to make your debut for your new solar cycle. And this is why I think I have this card here, the Eight of Wands. Like, everything is in vibrational escrow. It's getting ready to be launched. All your rockets of desire. I'm using Abraham Hicks lingo here. And yet, it hasn't maybe happened just quite yet. The magician is doing his work behind the scenes before the big launch. And your job is to have patience, and you do luckily have patience, unless you're one of those Taurus people that have, Mars and Aries. Which you totally could. If you have Mars and Aries, you might be, or even like the Moon in Aries, because I know somebody personally who's a Taurus who's anything but patient. And this person has Mars and Aries. So basically, it's about getting your ducks in a row so that you can make that great splash. And not a grandiose one, but you're going to feel, if you're like launching a business, if you're, I don't know, if you are beginning a new spiritual practice even. This may not be a material concern of yours. This may be more of a rebirth. You know, the Judgment card is about rebirth. So you may be feeling a spiritual rebirth, and yet you are kind of like feeling around different practices and things like that. It'll all gel, and then it will be momentum for you. And I think, though, that there's a material part of this, because look at what's coming in, the Ace of Pentacles. This is, sometimes this can be a windfall of money, but it can also be a new job, a new endeavor that's financial in nature. And there's the portal, walking through a new life, Ace, beginnings of something. And it's a material type of a situation. Yeah, you know, it's possible that it could be relationship related. If it is, this relationship has kind of that suggestion that it could be a permanent relationship. Because with Pentacles, there's that sense of some kind of a structure to it, you know, like it's got like, it's substantial. But in any case, if this is a relationship, I feel like you're uncharacteristically open to it. So you're not, like, in other words, with the Page of Cups, you're just kind of like a child that is open to all experiences, that you're not like holding on to kind of grudges like Taurus can do sometimes. Thinking of the past, thinking of how somebody did you wrong, but you're more like just kind of open. There may still be something that keeps you and this person from totally being able to start seeing one another, but you will. And the outcome, the Wheel of Fortune, that alignment, that sense of everything kind of conspiring, the universe conspiring on your behalf. Very good card. It's connected to Jupiter, which also happens to be an earth element in Capricorn. So, you know, the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune, I love it. And the Ace of Pentacles, I love it, Taurus. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, maybe looking at the year ahead for you and whatnot, please click on the link below to see what I offer. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.